if you can get to a place where you completely accept where you're at on the path, it's it's a paradoxical experience, because we have this idea that we need to get to a certain state, right? We need to attain a certain state. And depending on how far along the path I'm at is relative to how close I am to this perfect state. But it's better to consider that what if the perfect state is to be completely okay with wherever you're at on the path? Imagine there is a perfect state. What if the perfect state is to be okay with not having a perfect state? What if that's the perfect state, right? What if the perfect state that you think will come, it never comes, and it begins like the true like advancement, you could say, the true beginning stages of the perfect state is actually when you actually sit down and say, I'm actually completely okay with where I'm at. I don't need more knowledge. I don't need less knowledge. I'm actually perfectly okay with wherever I am. And what happens is when you combine this with actually understanding where you are on the map, it's a profound experience. So the purpose of this map that I've developed is so that we find this complete acceptance with where we're at. Because if you understand the map, the terrain, the direction, and you have the right guidance, there is literally nothing more that you need on the spiritual path. So the spiritual path looks linear only when you are experiencing the path from a 4th to 5th octave level, a state or octave. There's not really different levels or octaves. The octaves map is not a level of hierarchy. It's not a level of it's not really a level of progress. It's just the natural development of how experience develops. So the first octave is just a child, pure experience, no knowledge. Second octave is the development of knowledge, development of play. The third octave is the development of creativity and building for the sake of play, building for the sake of creativity itself. The 4th octave is where we develop duality. We start to find self-independence. The worldview is created. The 5th octave is after our first awakening. We have spiritual knowledge, but we then have spiritual conditioning. And the 5th octave is where most people are at, because what happens is you have an awakening of the 7th octave. You try to get to the 7th octave by 4th octave thinking. 4th octave thinking is I'll do things to get more knowledge to remove my suffering. If you continue with that process will it's just never ending. So there's a break, there's a breach, there's a suspicion in the 5th octave, which takes you to being open and receptive to the 6th. This is where all true spiritual teachings lie, is moving from the 6th octave. Everything else in the 5th octave is from moving into the 6th octave. Everything else is like helping you exhaust the seeking energy, because there is an energy in you that believes happiness exists in the world. It's like fuel. It's like you're born with excess fuel. And unless you exhaust the fuel, you drive the fuel out, it'll just stay there and you will keep seeking happiness in the world. So you can accelerate the process of burning up that fuel of seeking through the process of understanding. And a video like this is something that will help exhaust the seeking. It will help exhaust the fuel that you are yet to exhaust, because you haven't yet seen how many pathways there are that do not take you to happiness. So there is a belief, until it is fully seen, we will continue to believe that we will have to do something in order to be free. And what happens is we then do the 4th octave activities that we do in the normal day-to-day experiences of the 4th octave, finding objects, using practices, changing our state of mind, getting a better state of mind, fixing ourselves, improving ourselves. That will never end unless you see this. Even if you've had an awakening and a glimpse, you will go through the same thing. You'll just do it with spiritual sophistication. And the biggest problem is that we create we have an awakening, we remember the awakening, and in hindsight, what we do is overlay the knowledge and interpretation that was created from that awakening, and we wear it like a spiritual costume. We wear the spiritual cloth. We wear it like spiritual armor, and we start getting defensive if someone doesn't feel like we've actually woke up. We get defensive when someone, potentially doesn't think we have as much knowledge as we actually do have, and we want to make sure they know we have as much knowledge as we have, because we don't want to be seen as unawakened. And what happens is that knowledge holds us back. This is what I call I know syndrome. So when we are moving through these levels and octaves, it's necessary to see very clearly that in order to move away from my awakening, I don't have to do anything in the conventional sense, but I still have to do things. So the hardest thing for people to come to terms with is when they realize that there's no doer, and there's so many teachers telling them that there's no doer and there's nothing to do, but they still feel the urge to do something. So they're convinced, I've had an awakening, so I must have something right has happened, and all these teachers are telling me there's nothing to do, and I know there's no one there to do it, so I guess I'll just do nothing. And what happens is there's still an incomplete awakening. Just because you've had a glimpse, it doesn't make it's not the full cigar. And when these teachers are telling you that there's no one there and there's nothing to do and you don't have to do anything, it's bypassing. And you have to see it that way, because there is something to do so long as you feel there is something to do. And I can guarantee you, if you're watching this video, you feel like there's something to do. If there wasn't, you wouldn't bother watching the video, right? Because you wouldn't be interested. So it's okay to feel that there is something left to do. The thing you do is you stop seeking to remove your suffering. If you seek to remove your suffering, you'll be doing that forever. It's a never-ending process. So what you've got to catch is whenever you do something to remove your suffering, they're the things you now let go of. And now you do things, you do them as consciousness, you do them as infinite being, but you do things in order to explore truth. They're the things that you do. And what happens is you will naturally move into the 6th octave where you remove knowledge and have fun. 5th octave says, I'm going to get more knowledge and remove my suffering. 6th octave says, I'm going to have fun and remove knowledge. So now the path becomes fun. It becomes less about getting rid of things and more about seeing through things with clarity and joy. So if you're at a place where you feel frustrated with the spiritual path, you don't know how to move forward, you feel like you're stuck, you feel like you're both awakened and unawakened, you're not really sure where you're at, this spiritual turmoil is exactly what happens at the end of the 5th octave. You don't know where you're at. You want to be awakened. You don't want to be awakened. You don't care. You do care. You want to validate it. You're trying to find a teacher to tell you whether you're right or wrong. You're constantly cycling through the same place. This is what happens at the end of the 5th octave. So what I'm sharing with you right now is literally the antidote to that process of moving through it. You have to see you're not at the end of a process and you never will be. You're constantly learning, constantly moving in to new experience. And this is what the 6th octave is about, which takes you to the 7th, and then you transcend, you move to the 8th, right? But where you're at right now, completely accept and embrace where you're at. Just accept it. Just accept that this turmoil is where I'm at. It's a part of the path. You'll never not have that turmoil. There's no one on the path that will never go through not having that turmoil. So you can see it as like a necessary step on the stepping ladder. You don't touch one step on the stepping ladder and go, oh my God, I'm touching this step. I prefer the other step. I want a higher step, or I don't like this step. It's just a step on the stepping ladder. Just step through it. You have to go through that process. So I have a free community. The link's in the description where I can help guide you through that process. I've been through it myself. I've seen countless amounts of people go through the same thing. And I have a residency where we actually go very, very deeply into that. But I only give spots to the residency to people who are in the free community. So if you want to join that, I do calls every Thursday. We have community contemplations, and there's a lot of lovely, lovely people there who I think you will get along with very well. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you very soon. Bye.